Remember those Sega rumors earlier this year? Now we know what they're about. Earlier this year, there were Sega rumors. Sega. It was going to be Xbox is buying Sega or Microsoft buying Sega, something like that. It's exclusive games from Sega coming to Xbox. There were tons of rumors. And as we talked about on this very channel, it is hard for a company like Microsoft to actually go out and acquire a company like Sega. There's a lot of regulatory concerns, both internal and abroad, to make something like that happen. Now, today, we are starting to learn more about what those rumors actually were, and we're finding out those missing components. So, what was announced? Microsoft and Sega announced that they have agreed in principle to a strategic alliance that explores ways for Sega to produce large-scale global games in a next-generation development environment built on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform. The alliance would form a key part of Sega's mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with a super game, a new initiative for developing a new innovative titles where the key focuses are global online community and IP utilization. So what this sounds like is that Sega said, hey, look, we need cloud infrastructure for our next generation games. We can either go Google, AWS. Well, in this case, they are actually selecting Azure or Microsoft's backend cloud technology to build these titles. So this, I think, is the missing component to what those rumors were related to, which means there was accurate information that Microsoft and Sega were talking, but it was not related to an acquisition. It was related to their cloud services business. Now, this is good for Microsoft on many reasons. One, they're getting more people into their cloud, which means more dollars coming into their cloud service, but it also means more games are being built on their cloud infrastructure. AWS also has a well-known service for targeting game developers, and Microsoft wants more of those dollars coming into their cloud. The other obvious thing too is that if Microsoft is working closely with Sega in the cloud on that stuff, getting them to bring more stuff over to Xbox is an easier pitch. Now, it doesn't mean that there's going to be exclusives. It doesn't mean anything else. This is truly a cloud and business arrangement. But at the end of the day, if they're working on the cloud, saying like, hey, why don't you build a title for us over here, becomes a little bit easier of a conversation. Now, it is absolutely worth pointing out that Sega is not the first company to do this. Sony is also using Microsoft's cloud for its back-end infrastructure for cloud gaming services. That is a well-known thing too. And so that doesn't mean that Sony titles are coming over to Xbox either. It just means that they have they're deepening their business relationship, which is good for Microsoft and potentially good for Xbox, but there's no definitive reason to say it is exponentially good for Xbox at this time. So that is the news that was coming out. The question becomes, what is a quote-unquote super game? Well, if you remember, Microsoft hired up some individuals to help build these cloud-native games first, meaning that you can access them from any different type of console, or device, I should say, and get a different type of experience, whether it be on a phone, on a console. And this might be where Sega is heading. They're thinking, look, we need to build cloud-native games first, and then either have a local install that enhances the experience, but it needs to start in the cloud and then go to the endpoints, rather than a console model where you build for that specific endpoint. And it sounds like maybe that is where Sega is going, but only time will tell. We are just seeing the business agreement, so it's going to be a long time before these things, they even say in their mid to long-term strategy, before this materializes. It's just something to keep in mind. So that, I believe, is going to put to bed those Microsoft and Sega rumors, because that is a very big announcement for both companies, but is definitely not leading, at least yet, towards an acquisition. Now, other things that have kind of floated around that I think are worthwhile is that a Halo Infinite early access bundle was spotted online. Now, this was in the Microsoft Store, and as the name suggests, early access bundle makes it sure sound like there are going to be options for getting early access to Halo Infinite. Now, a couple guesses here. Potentially, you might be getting early access if you're a part of Game Pass. We know that Microsoft is buying into that, or not buying into that, but pushing that model very heavily. And so that could be one way. There's another thing that says, hey, maybe this is the press review, but knowing how I have seen things operate in the past from the press side, I don't quite think that is the case, but we will see. But it is an early access bundle, and the reason why I don't think it is that case is because the word bundle makes it sound like you're probably getting multiplayer and the single player, or you might be getting some like higher level of the potential single player campaign. Who knows? Details are still out there, but it looks like Microsoft might be announcing here in the near future an early access way to get into Halo Infinite. We see this with games like even Call of Duty Vanguard, I believe, is going to have an early access invitation spot for that title before it officially launches. It's just a way to generate more hype and get more people into the game. And honestly, I wonder if there's some like back-end like technology thing too. It's like much easier to onboard people slowly than it is on December 8th, just having millions of people diving in and throwing grenades and all that good stuff and playing in the battle arena. So We will see. We will see how that shakes out, but just know that it's out there. And so December 8th is the official launch date, but it may not surprise you if you get access just a little bit early. And if you want to know when that access becomes available or anything else about the world of Xbox, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.